right, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been following along, you know what is going on. We are moving along with Rainbow Down to Earth. The only Rainbow album to feature vocalist Graham Bonnet. Great set of vocals on here. There was also a change up in a lot of other parts of how this went down compared to previous Rainbow albums. So Ritchie Blackmore still around. Roger Glover, who produced this album, came in and did the bass parts because they could not find a bassist that they were happy with. Cozy Powell was still around, and they brought in Don Airey for keyboards. This is definitely a much more commercial album. This album was, 79? So with it being 79, you're in the heart of disco. A lot of bands were getting disco-y. And honestly, I liked a lot of the bands when they added that little bit of a dance flavor to their music. Some songs it works out great, other songs not so much. This album has a couple songs where it works out great. And then on top of it, this is a very straightforward rock album too at the same time. More commercial in time lengths. Longest song on here comes in at 6:38, and it is probably my least favorite song on the album. That's track 2. So let's start off with track 1, All Night Long. This really gets the album going just perfect. Is the perfect lead song for the album, and definitely would set up a tradition of lead songs that really get the album going. But outside of being the lead song on the album, no one's going to remember it too much outside of that. You know, if it did not have the track positioning it had, I don't know if it would be as enjoyable. Actually, All Night Long would be enjoyable no matter where it was in the album. The only difference is if it was somewhere else on the album, it would be a bit of a filler. That goes into Eyes of the World, which is track 2. That's the one that clocks in at 6:38. Eyes of the World, it's okay, but it doesn't do much for me. No Time to Lose is a good, enjoyable tune. Definitely a single kind of track. Don't mind it. Making Love follows that up. No Time to Lose and Making Love are really good songs. They really are, but they're kind of album cuts. They've got the hooks. They've got the swing to them. They've got something that makes you go, whoo, yeah. But they don't have that single to them. Unlike the next song, track 5, Since You've Been Gone. Since you've been gone, since you've been gone, I'm out of my head, can't take it. Love this song. I think it's fantastic. I know it goes on every Rainbow Greatest Hits, and it deserves to go on every Rainbow Greatest Hits because it's that good of a song. It is. I would have honestly liked to have heard Dio even do this one, man. This could have been a good one. I don't think Dio necessarily had the boogie to do this one right, but good tune. Then you're into Love's No Friend. Ooh, I like this one, man. This one's got some great blues going on it, man. Oh, love it. Great tune. Next track, Danger Zone. Remember what I said? This is 79, so this is before Highway Through the Danger Zone came out. I really dig this tune. It's a great album cut. Really great album cut. Not sure if it would work for me as a single or anything like that, but it's a great album cut. And then the last song on the album is Lost in Hollywood. And I really dig on this one as well. I think it's kind of basically a great follow-up to LA Connection. Now, when I do a quick look online, it says that Roger Glover wrote all the lyrics on this album, whereas Blackmore took care of the music like usual. You can definitely notice a change in the lyrics. The lyrics are a lot more commercial as well. pardon the sexual stereotype, but they're a lot more female friendly than they have been on past albums. Dio is very much D&D, swords and sorcery, metal, and this is definitely more down to earth. This album really, you can tell that it was being worked at the same time as Long Live Rock and Roll, and then with the new producer being Roger Glover, they had a little more time to kind of play with it, I think, perfect it, get that more of that, like I said, that dance groove kind of vibe that's going on. I don't want to call it anything other than a dance groove because I don't want to say disco, but, you know, it had that vibe. This album is a bunch of great album cuts with one or two choice singles peppered in. Really one choice single, you know, Since You've Been Gone as a killer single. But it's the only one on here that really does naturally fall into that killer single era. All Night Long and No Time to Lose both clock in under 4 minutes, so they do get to that single length, but they're still running a little long. The rest of the songs all clock in over 4 minutes, so that kind of negates them a little bit for singles. Although at this time period, songs were starting to get a little bit longer. You didn't have to have a song that was between 2:45 and 3:15 to be a single. You were able to get songs on the radio that were into the 4-minute range. So, I don't know. The whole way around, I feel like I'm downplaying this album, but I don't feel like this album can be overplayed. You know, I had to listen to it 2 or 3 times in a row before I did the review, just because I've been listening to all the other ones and I'm kind of blanked on a lot of these. So I had to listen to it 2 or 3 times, and after the 3rd time, I was kind of like, all right, that's enough. Let's do this review. And if I were putting together a greatest hits outside of Since You've Been Gone, honestly, I'm going to say it's the second half of this album. Since You've Been Gone, Love's No Friend, Danger Zone, and Lost in Hollywood. That to me is, you know, that's where the album is. If I had it on vinyl, that's where the album is. My side 2 would get played infinitely more than side 1 would. That's just the way I am, though. I don't know. Let me know what you think, guys, down below. Drop me a comment. What song am I underplaying? What song am I overplaying? Am I being a little harsh when I just kind of like ignore Eyes of the World because, you know, it's kind of whatever? I don't know. That's me. Let me know in the comments. There's a like button, subscribe button, bell for notifications. I'd really like if you hit those. Trying to hit 200 before the end of the year. So, you know, click away, folks, on that subscribe button. Other than that, there's a couple links down below. Check those out, please. Peace, love, take care, and I'll see you for the next Rainbow album.